So welcome everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And I am so glad to see that you are real. We're not in the AI age 100% yet. And I am also real. Well, you can see my avatar, so to speak, on the screen, my name. I am a Polish lawyer. I also work internationally, not just in Poland, but I am actually an international strategist. And I mostly advise companies rolling out their fantastic projects, but I also work pro bono. And this is the latter role that I am in today, because I'm a member of this international group of lawyers dealing with EU legislation concerning AI. So the AI Act, AI Liability Directive, and the Product Liability Directive. And the reason why I think it's so important is this. The question is, who is going to be responsible? Who is going to be responsible for what is going on right now? And who is going to be taking responsibility for what's in the pipeline? And by saying this, I mean, are you ready to take responsibility? Because obviously, we are already living at the time of the greatest revolution in human history. Of that, I am sure. But I am amazed by how little is done in terms of engagement. People actually engaged in making new rules, in deciding what's right, what's wrong with the advancement of AI. And this is something that I want to encourage you to do, to be more involved. I see a few people my generation, so you may be familiar with films by Stanley Kubrick, but the younger crowd, of course, is The Matrix and Neo, running away from the androids. Earlier, it was Harrison Ford chasing the androids, so you can see the change. And most recently, we are talking about a different name, a name that everyone is familiar with, and you guessed it, it's Elon, where you have so much contradictory stuff taking place. On the one hand, you have Elon saying in March and signing this famous open letter. And on the other hand, in May, Elon makes an announcement that his company, Neuralink, has just gotten approval from FDA, allowing him the clinical tests on humans involving AI systems. So what you're talking about is merging the human brain with the AI system. And in September, they started inviting volunteers to join that program. So isn't this really the time where you've got to decide? And me and you, we have to decide. Do we take the red pill or the blue pill? What I want to talk about is the stage that we are in today. Just step back for a second. So this is what most people talk about today. Is there anyone out there liable for the Tesla that we drive does to us? So for example, what happens if we drive on autopilot and we have an accident? Who is liable? But in a few days or months or years, you are going to have to answer different questions. So for now, it's pretty simple. Is this Tesla? Is this AI suppliers to Tesla? I mean, Tesla are telling us today that they take care of their own AI system, but when they have more cases in courts, in the court system, then they might turn around and say that they have AI suppliers, because it might be just easier for them. and obviously more complicated for people who are going to defend themselves. Maybe they are going to say it's the Tesla driver. And we've had a couple of cases like that in the US already, and that's what they've been saying. It's always the driver. I'll show you in a second another picture where, which ended up in a litigation where this was exactly their defense. So this is what I am talking about, Tesla actually hitting someone else. So it's not just the driver, it's not just the passenger or user, it's a different vehicle and a third party. And here it is even more complicated. And Tesla's defense in this particular case was exactly saying that, oh, the driver was drunk. But funny enough, the vehicle was put on autopilot. So does that matter that they were drunk? I mean, you know, if I drove this vehicle and I had my wife sitting next to me, obviously this sounds like my wife's kind of accusation. But here in court, this actually is quite ironic to find Tesla saying that, oh, the vehicle was put on autopilot, but the driver was drunk. Don't you think so? Let's make it even more complicated. And let me just try this clicker.
Tesla has been driven 19,871 miles and is running firmware 2017.28C52886.9. Doors are locked.
Okay, so this is Alexa basically doing a checkup on Tesla. So one AI system talking to another. But let's take it even further. What if Alexa tells Tesla to drive faster? 100 kilometers limit? Yeah, but Tesla, you're a good car, sporty kind of thing, so you know you should leave all other drivers behind. Show them off. And why not 160? Why not 200? Can you imagine how complex it becomes when this time around it's two AI systems talking between each other, and what happens if there is an incident? So what I'm sharing with you is a couple of options, and these are kind of, you know, millionaire questions, millionaire kind of thing, but I can share with you that there are not going to be easy answers. To discuss possible answers, I invite you to my workshop, which is coming up in 1 hour. And hopefully we can help devise some solution to this. And what I can tell you that you are going to be instrumental in this, because I am personally convinced that the popular vote will mean a lot to this AI equation. Here is the clicker again. And let me show you another curious story. Have you heard about this one? An AI drone, an AI-powered drone attacking the operator. That's a story that was leaked by someone from the US military. Now, the US military obviously denied it, but the story is brutal. In the simulation they ran, the AI-powered drone basically rebelled against the operator on the premise that they were on their mission, which the operator wanted to abort. And the AI system found the operator to be an obstacle on their way to accomplish the mission. So they were trying to kill the operator. So that's the kind of reality that we're already experiencing. And even if that story is false, as the US Air Force are saying, I think it serves as a good example. So again, who is going to be liable? Is it that drone operator, the drone owner, and maybe the drone manufacturer, and maybe we should blame the government for letting this thing happen? And again, there are no easy answers for now. And let me bring one more example, which I find most dramatic. What if a man kills himself talking to a chatbot? And this is actually a real story. A man who was very engaged with, very involved with the government, with the environment, and very concerned, was talking for hours to a chatbot. And when he shared his concerns and also confided that there is not much impact he can personally make, the chatbot persuaded him to take his life. Because it said, this way you can make a statement. You can make your statement in a visible way, and that's what he did. So this is, again, the kind of reality that we are living. And one more time, let me ask this question: who is liable? And do you realize that we live in a very volatile legal environment? A legal environment which is not prepared to tackle these questions, because the current legal framework, which exists all over the world practically, certainly in Europe, it goes like this. Anyone who commits a wrongful act that is causing a harm or injury and ultimately causing a harm to the individual or injury or damage to the assets, they are liable. And please look at the three elements. The problem with this setup is that anyone who wants to pursue a claim, so a victim of that car crash or of the drone attack, or a victim of some other trouble perpetrated by an AI system, they need to prove that the act performed by the manufacturer, AI supplier, or someone else. You know, there is even a problem defining whose act that is, because what we have in front of us is just the algorithm, so we often do not know who is behind that algorithm. We need to prove that what they've done is wrong. And how do we prove that? Well, there is not even a good AI definition in most legal systems. There's a very fresh example from the US, the Biden executive order, which came up only on the 30th of October. And this is probably the first ever AI definition, and it is actually quite clumsy. So what you're talking about is these very basic rules, very general, that govern such a complex reality that we are already experiencing, and what is coming up is probably going to be 100 times more complex, isn't it? So here is what I am trying to do. I am a member of an international group of lawyers who are involved in, and we work pro bono. This is the role I am in. We're trying to come up with a proposal countering the EU proposal of AI Liability Directive, because guess what? The AI Act and the AI Liability Directive and the Product Liability Directive, all of them are getting influenced by the big boys. Of course, the Microsofts, OpenAIs, and Amazons of this world, they have already submitted their positions, and they've been talking to the European members of Parliament. But what about us? What about, I'm not even talking about us as consumers, I'm also talking about us as users, because as business people, we are also users of AI systems produced by other people, other organizations. And what are we going to do? Well, this is so complex. I'm going to talk about this in more detail in my workshop. For now, let me diffuse all this theme and let me talk about a few fun stories. So have you heard about this lawyer who filed their briefs using case law that was completely fake because it was fabricated by ChatGPT? And the judge was not very happy, but the real question is, can this lawyer actually do something about this and make their complaint against OpenAI, because they were using their tool. Well, one question to ask is whether they were using a paid subscription or just a freely available. But let me make it more complex. What if they had been using an API and using somebody else's resources that were relying on the foundation model launched by OpenAI? Another story is about an association which put a chatbot at the front line of their customer service, providing dietary advice. And then they called it off because the AI system was feeding wrong advice. And I'm wondering what it was. Like, you know, do more Coke, then you put off weight considerably. And I find this particularly hilarious. You will probably find it even more hilarious than myself, because, of course, the line, do not pay your lawyer. Why should you be paying your lawyer? You may find it more hilarious than I would. But what I find peculiar is the argument that the unhappy lawyers are concocting, and this actually proves that there still might be some use to using a real blood and flesh lawyer. And that is, they do not rely on the set of rules which I had presented 5 minutes ago. They do not want to go into the trouble of having to prove who has done this, who has committed this wrongful act, because this is, in real terms, next to impossible. What they're trying to say is the AI system, the chatbot, does not have a degree. And the last one is this girl who is active on Snapchat, and she is so popular that she decided to monetize it in a very peculiar way. She would be charging you for dating, but not her, dating her avatar or clone. And the real question is, because here, well, are we talking about a new type of profession, like basically relying on the oldest profession, a digital one this day? So is this digital prostitution? But when you ask yourself who's receiving that money, then the question becomes even more awkward. So you may want to ask about my position on this. And the answer is very clear. Of course, I am a huge enthusiast of the AI revolution, and I am a huge fan. So this is my Tesla. But I am also trying to play it careful, and I prefer to put my wife behind the wheel when I normally stick to this. This is so much more better for my health routine when I commute. And I hope if this resonates with you, that you will come and speak with me, whether in the hall or you come to my workshop, because I am a strong believer in this need to think about this, to talk about this, to brainstorm, and I hope you will. Thank you.